In today's video, we're going to have an odds and ends video of stuff that I picked up from the Tennessee State Numismatic Show in Chattanooga. And it took me a while to make this video. And the coins that show up in this video are three different dealers that I bought stuff from that I didn't get enough from each one to make their own video. So we're kind of going to lump them all together. And so that's everything that is in the bag right here. But the first thing I want to show off, this is going to kind of demonstrate how far behind I am on this. They gave out these coasters for the Florida Fun Show, which is I went to the show in November 24, and they had the coasters for the January 2025 numismatic show, and just thought that was neat to get that. Also, I don't know if I should show off stickers of other people on social media. I don't know if I should put something like this if I've never bought anything from them or had no interactions with them. They just had stickers of the Bar Father. So some silver stacker out there was giving out stickers, so I thought I'd just add that. I'm showing off my backdrop right now because I don't always show that for my coin videos, and I'm just wondering if that might make something good to should I add stuff like that to my background? I've got some other channels that I've actually dealt with before, but I thought I'd just kind of show that off. So now let's actually get into some coins. There's a dealer that I buy something from all the time, deals exclusively with foreign coins, so I like visiting his booth every time. He didn't have as much for me this time. What he did have was coins priced at $12 for $1, and he'll put stuff in flips and he'll sell 5 for $1. And so it's rare that he'll have stuff loose that is inexpensive like this, but 12 for $1, hey, I can get some use out of this. So this is $1 worth of coins right here. We'll start with this 10 centavos coin from the Philippines from 1962, KM 188. So this is going to be one of the first coins of the Philippines Republic, which they started making these in 1958. This design lasted to 1966. This is a nickel. What's listed in my catalog is nickel brass, but since they had some, when they were run by the United States and had some coins produced by the United States, there was some silver even in their 10 centavos coins, but this one is not silver, so I always want to point that out every time that I get this. So once you're to the era of Philippines coins where it has the volcano in the background, they're not going to be silver even if they look like it. Sometimes it's because they add zinc to the mix, and that gives it kind of an old silver look, but not silver. We flip this one around, and we've got the central bank of the Philippines look. Next, we have a coin from El Salvador. This one's going to be a 25 centavos from 1975. The catalog number on this one is KM 139. This one was made out of nickel from 1970 to 1977. Then it was made out of copper nickel in 1986, but for 1 year. That year it was also made at the Mexico City Mint for that 1 year, so that's why it was a different metal. We're going to move to a coin from Bahrain. This one is a 25 fils. And most of the modern coins from Bahrain have a design like this, where it has the number in the background. Inside that rectangle is Arabic for fils, their currency. The newer coins will say State of Bahrain. Some of the older coins will say Kingdom of Bahrain. 1992 our calendar, 1412 their calendar. And I think the most interesting thing on this one is the design in the middle, which represents some old An ancient painting. Catalog number on this one's KM10. So this ancient painting also represents the seal of the Dilmun civilization. We're going to move to a coin from the Netherlands. It's going to be a 25-cent coin from 1948. This is the first year that the Netherlands 25-cent coin was not made out of silver. This one's KM178. And so this looks like a fairly common coin until you flip it over. The other side was a design that lasted for several decades, but when they started this design, it was the last year of Queen Wilhelmina, Queen of Netherlands. So that makes this a one-year coin. So anytime I find this one, I tend to, if I can get it cheap, I tend to pick that one up because it is different. Then following this, Queen Juliana ruled from 1950 to 1980. So you saw several decades of a similar design on the rear, but the next portrait had Juliana facing the right. Now we're going to move to a coin from Cuba. Say 1 centavo from 1920. Like some other Latin American countries, it has a weight on it, even though it is not silver. This was their lowest denomination coin that they made, but it is copper nickel. Catalog number KM9. They made it out of copper nickel from 1915 to 1938, and then brass in 1943, and then they went back to copper nickel in the years 1946 and 1961. And then even though it's the same metal again, this one's 9, the brass was 9A, and then they went back to 9B when it went back to copper nickel. So here we have the shield, has the Phrygian cap at the very top, which is a Latin American symbol for peace. You'll see that on several different coins from countries in the area. We'll take a look at a couple of commemorative Canadian cents. So unfortunately this one's a little bit scratched up, but otherwise this side looks uncirculated. So this is the Canadian Confederation Centennial. So the coin was made in 1967. Canada became its own country in 1867, so that was the 100th anniversary of it. And for that, they replaced the normal reverse of the coin with different animals. So, for instance, the beaver nickel became a rabbit, but the maple leaf cent turned into what's called a rock dove. This one's catalog number KM65. But we'll move to another one-year commemorative coin. So this one has 2 dates on it, 1952 and 2002. So 52 was when Queen Elizabeth became queen. So that makes this the 50th anniversary, or also called the Gold Jubilee. There is a version of this coin that has the letter P for plated, and I think that would appear over here. So that gives that version more value because it's rarer, but it's not that rare. There were millions of these made every year. Tens of millions, probably. There's the maple leaf that we're used to. We're going to move to a coin from Turkey from 1949. I guess that coin has some damage right there. I don't guess that's struck through grease or whatever you want to call it, but flip this one over. It's a 25 kuros. This coin is catalog number KM 886. So the Turkish moved to a decimal system in 1935, and so their 25 kuruş was made out of silver to 1937, and then it was made out of nickel brass, like this one, to 1946. I'm wrong about that. This wasn't 46. This one is after 1946, since it's 1949. It was brass-plated steel. This next coin was, I'd purchased all these as inexpensive duplicates to add to my trade pile. This one actually ended up being new to my collection, so it's a keeper. Even though it has a design that might appear similar to you, it's actually a little bit different. This one is from Chile, featuring Liberty on this coin. This one is a 10 pesos from 1990. What made it different was in only 1990, it was a one-year version of the coin that with a wide rim. So that gives it catalog 218.3. Only for 1990 when it has the wide rim. Versions 1 and 2 were earlier years, and they are based on whether or not it has a narrow or wide date variety. Next, we're going to move to a Middle Eastern coin with a tree on it. So I used to always just assume this was going to be Lebanon because you think of cedars of Lebanon, but this is actually going to be from Tunisia. And in 1983, that means it's part of the Tunisian Republic. It's going to be a 5 millim. Catalog number KM 282. And so there were 3 coins very similar to this. There's also 1 and a 2 millim that are smaller than the 5, all made out of aluminum. They were all minted in the years 1960 or 1983. Next we'll move to a coin from Israel. This one's going to be half of a new shekel. On this side, it has a 12-string harp, which represents the seal of Ma'adra. I had that wrong. Ma'adana. Catalog number is KM159, and they made this coin from 1985 all the way to 2017. The last coin that I bought from this dealer is going to be from Sweden. If you see 3 crowns on it, that's going to be Sweden. It's going to be a 5 ore. From 1950. What I thought was interesting about this one, its catalog number KM779.2. This one's made from bronze, and this was a design that was lasted from 1909 until 1950. But it was made out of bronze from 1909 to 1942, and then starting with World War II, they made it out of iron from 1942 until into 1950, and then in the middle of 1950, they switched it back to bronze for part of the year, and then they stopped making it. So this was a partial year coin. It doesn't make it particularly valuable, but it's kind of hard to find the ones from the end of, if you're looking for this one might be one of the harder ones to find, but again, it's not that rare, but since it was went back to bronze for 1 year. So since I like to look up book prices of coins, 12 coins here, and the catalog is going to say everything is always books for 10 cents, even if it's a Canadian cent. So it would be hard to not make a catalog value of over $1 when you pick up 12 coins. But I paid $1 for this whole bag, And the book value on all this is $2.75. So I thought those were all, nothing here particularly valuable, but I thought after digging in that bin, they all made good trade pieces. So now we're going to move on to this second bag of 5 coins. This dealer is sometimes hit and miss. Now, he brings out a huge tub of foreign coins, but I had gone through it just a couple of months earlier, and so I had to dig for a while to find something new. But I almost didn't buy anything from him, but there's one coin here that I really wanted to have. And so I decided I'll go ahead and get $1's worth, since he was charging $5 for $1. Usually has some pretty good stuff, but again, I'd gone through it recently. But he can have a big tote with 20 or 30 pounds of world coins in it, and there'll be different people just digging through it at the same time. It gets kind of maddening sometimes to have so many people. But we're going to start with this coin from Indonesia from 1996. It's the 50 rupiah. Has Komodo written on it. That's a lizard. Now, I grew up always being hearing this called the Komodo dragon, but in the catalog it calls it the Komodo lizard. So I don't know if calling it a Komodo dragon is just a United States thing, or if other people call it the Komodo dragon, or what that goes with. But I always think this one's neat to kind of pick up, because you don't see as many lizards on coins as you might find with eagles and lions on them, so it's neat to pick that up. And that's made out of aluminum bronze. Next, we're going to move to a coin from Hungary. This is a fairly recent design. This is the 50 forint. We flip this one over. Has a bird on this one. This is the Saker falcon. So this comes from the Hungarian Second Republic, which started in 1989. This specific coin dates to 1995, catalog KM 697. And so this specific coin lasted until 2012, at which point they changed the legend that goes around the falcon on here. I guess the name of the country had a slight change at that point. We'll move to a coin from France. I believe at one time this coin was made out of silver, but as the value of the franc was going down, eventually turned into aluminum before they revalued the French francs. This one's dated 1949. And this one does not have a mint mark on it, which is the most common way to find this coin. There are some rare version of the coin with a B mint mark, and a very rare version that has a C mint mark. The C version of this coin in this condition would have a book value of $20, but the A version isn't worth that much. This one's catalog 888 B.1, and the .1 is because it's the A or no mint mark. And the B is because it's no longer silver. Next, we're going to pick up a transportation token. Good for one fare. It's the green line and has a, I don't know if that's just a right angle or if it's supposed to be the letter L. I guess it is the L for green line, L in the line. And then when you flip it over this way, it's aligned in such a way where it's still L in line, but this side's been in the mud for a little bit. So it's the C, N, and C Railway Company. Had to look this one up. I didn't recognize it right away. So this is the Cincinnati, Newport, and Covington, Kentucky Railway streetcar. So a streetcar token. So Cincinnati, a city in America, and Newport and Covington are across the river, Ohio River, in northern Kentucky. At the bottom there, it has pretty hard to read. It's actually the signature of the general manager, which is P.G. Vondersmith. This one fare token was made from 1922 to 1950. And transportation tokens, your catalog for that is the Atwood Coffee Transportation token catalog, and it has a catalog number of KY for Kentucky 150B. B as in boy. Next up is the coin that I really wanted from this dealer because it's from a country which is really hard to find a coin from. So at the top it tells us Nagorno-Karabakh. Very possible you've never heard of this country because a lot of other countries don't officially recognize this country. So this dates back to or at least this republic dates back to a time after the Soviet Union split up into Russia and all of the smaller countries. There were some ethnic Armenians inside of the country of Azerbaijan that didn't want to be part of Azerbaijan. And so they tried to be their own autonomous country within there. There may have been some warring for a little bit, but I think for a while they've just kind of left themselves alone. So they may not be recognized as a country anymore, but at least the Azerbaijani government lets them do their own thing, including making their own currency. We flip this one over. It has a date of 2004. It's a 1 dram. A lot of the Nagorno-Karabakh coins will feature animals, but this one actually has some religious symbolism with Saint Gregory. Catalog KM9. Turns out I actually had it. So, but again, that makes for a really good trade piece, and I would say every time I pick up a Nagorno-Karabakh coin, this might be the 4th one I've ever picked up, I'm going to pick it up if it's a cheap price in a quarter bin. So I can't really put a value on transportation tokens, so the 4 coins that were in here had a book value of $1.75, and I paid $1 for the 5. Next up, the third dealer and final dealer that I bought some coins from are going to be these 4 carded coins. This is a dealer that has coins in a kind of, they're all carded loose in a little box. It says World Coins Cheap. I see them at every single show. They don't change their inventory that often. Sometimes I find a lot. This time I found 4 coins that I wanted to have. Oftentimes the coins from this dealer will have multiple prices written on them. I paid what was written in red and circled. So on this first coin from Spain, it's going to say that I paid $2 for it. And they have good prices on their coins, so they never give a discount. But this one is a silver coin from Spain from 1904. We have Alfonso the 13th on here. They even wrote that in fine it would be booked for $3.50, very fine would book for $6, but I pretty much got it for spot price. We flip this one over, and it is a 50 centimos. I will point out that a lot of the Spain coins will have the date that the coin was first made, and then the actual date is going to appear inside the star. That star is so tiny, I don't know if I would have ever been able to read it, but actually the way I can tell on this one that it actually was made in 1904 is this coin was only made for 2 years, and in 1904 the mint master initials on here were SM, V over here, and the other year this coin was made later, it had different initials on here. But this coin from Spain is 83.5% silver, which comes to an average silver weight of 0.0671. And so if you that's going to come to at $30 an ounce. That means I paid spot for it. And I had this coin, but this one's going to be an upgrade probably. Next we're going to move to a coin from the Netherlands. So we were talking earlier in this video, we were talking about Queen Wilhelmina. So here we have an earlier portrait of Queen Wilhelmina when their 25-cent coin was still made out of silver. So this one's dated 1915. They made these from 1910 to 1925. And if you can find these in better conditions, the value really shoots up. So for instance, this one I paid $3, but if you could find this coin in very fine, they labeled it as fine, and I'm not even sure about that, but I'll let you judge whether or not that's fine. If you can find it in very fine, the book price is $17.50. If you could find it in uncirculated MS60, it would have a book value of $110. So if you go to the key date of 1910 and you could find it in uncirculated 60, it would have a book value of $280. But this one is KM146. Here we see where it says 25 cents, 1915. This one has a lot written on the back, and sometimes you kind of wonder what all this means. Well, I know what the 64% silver and a silver weight of 0.0736. So this one did cost me a lot more in spot. I guess the fine book price was $4.50, and then I wonder what all those other numbers mean. Or did someone try and sell it for $6 at one point, or coin number 124 in some kind of lot? So sometimes I just find it interesting what all those other, the history of the coin inside the flip sometimes I think can be interesting. We move on to a coin that is not silver, but it is a country that I don't have much from. Countries that were controlled by Portugal would have a design that looked like this. On one side, 1959, if you saw it earlier, this one is Portuguese-controlled area of India. So the state of India within Portugal. Today that region is Goa and a couple other things. They didn't have a lot of what is today India, but just a small little area. This coin dates to 1959. It's a 6 escudos. It's only my second Portuguese India coin. So I was willing to pay $4 for it. The catalog says extra fine. It would book for $8.50. And so what I thought was interesting here is even though it's 6 escudos, they had already moved to the decimal system by then. So 6 on is going to be a hard number to work with. But they switched to the decimal coinage starting in 1958 through 1961. This was a one-year coin in 1959. It was the largest denomination that they ever made of Portuguese India. It's made out of copper nickel. And then in 1961, the area was taken over by India. So Portuguese never controlled it, never had a chance to mint it a second year. So a catalog number on this one is KM35, and bonus points for someone typing this up on a typewriter onto a sticker. So that's been in the flip for a while. So now we're going to move to the most expensive coin in this video. We have a France 5 francs, so one of these coins that's about the size of a silver US dollar or a British crown. In France, that was the 5 francs. Someone at one time charged $50 for this coin. That would have been an overpay because a lot of these large French francs are not particularly rare. So they usually go closer to spot price. And so $20 is about right on here. It is 1833. It has a W mint mark right here, which does not line up to the name of the place where it was minted. That's Lily. And someone wrote on here that it is an error, that it was a struck-through error. And I kind of wonder about that. Now, I'm not the expert on errors, so is this really struck through something, or we flip it over, is it really a chop mark? Because you see it in the same place on the other side. To me, that seems like it's more of a chop mark, but you know, I'm not an expert on, certainly not an expert on chop marks, and don't really do that much well with error coins either. But before I stay on the obverse, there is some writing around the edge. Unfortunately, when you buy them on flips, you can't really show them off. But if you could read it, it would translate to "God protects France," written along the edge. So here we have King Louis Philippe the First, King of France. This coin was made from 1832 to 1843, and then they decided for whatever reason they wanted to redesign the coin by putting a bigger space between the end of the E in Philippe and the 1, and so that gets a new catalog number. They made it that way from 1844 to 1848. This coin is catalog number 749.13, where every mint mark gets a different catalog number. That's why there's at least 13 different varieties here. We have the designer of the coin, or the engraver here, is Domard. We flipped this one back over, so the mint mark was over here. Every version of this coin has the star there at the bottom, and then we have the mint master mark, which is the caduceus. We've seen this on several different countries. The caduceus is the staff with eagle wings at the top and 2 snakes going around it. So that was the mint mark of the mint master was Alexandre Bossier. So yeah, this is probably my 3rd or 4th silver 5 francs from the 1800s, and for all of them I've paid about $20 or so. It is 90% silver. So that gives you a silver weight of 0.7234. And at $30 an ounce, that comes to about $21.50. So I got this one below spot. Barely. If it actually did have that weight to it. It's well worn enough that maybe it would have $20 worth of silver at $30 an ounce. So, of course, I paid a lot more for these last 4 coins than I paid for the first 3, but I do have other coin videos coming up from this show, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, bye.